It's been a while since I've done a junk silver purchase and hunt video on my channel, so I figured it's about time to do so. Now, it's not a big bag, but it's an old bag of goodies for sure. Hey everyone, it's RobFindsTreasure. Welcome back to my channel. Like I said in the intro, I've got a nice old bag of silver here, and I did pay up on it. I did pay up. It came out to about $471 and some change at 23 times face. I had $470 on me. He took it, and I'm thankful for it, to be honest, because when I took a look in the bag, it's definitely a lot of oldies and goodies. Now, I do see a Washington quarter in there. I don't know what year that is, but he said most of the stuff in this bag is a lot of older constitutional silver. He always separates his regular constitutional silver from his older stuff, and he always keeps the older stuff for me, and I don't mind paying a little bit more for it because at the end of the day, I'm still paying less than what I would normally get if I were to piece these coins out for sure. I don't know what's in here, but I do see some capped bust looking stuff. I see some Barbers, SLQs. Might be a seated or two in here. I don't know for sure, but we're going to go through it and see what's in the bag. Let me dump it out first and see what's in it and see what's up with that Washington quarter as well. Man, that is some good looking old stuff right there. We'll have to see what's in. Oh, I do see a seated Liberty. We'll have to see what's in here, and you guys know what's next. First thing I got to do is start separating it by denomination and design type. And once I get that done, without trying to peek at any dates and mints, I'll bring you back in to show you what we have in the stacks. All right, we have got it sorted, and I'll tell you, I wasn't expecting 3 capped bust half dollars. We have a seated Liberty half dollar, a handful of Barber half dollars, a seated Liberty quarter, some Barber quarters, a lot of SLQs, but just when I was stacking them, it looked like a lot were dateless. That Washington quarter must have just snuck in here. 1945. It looks like it was a 45S. We'll take it, but anyway, not exactly what I was expecting in the bag, but I wasn't expecting those either. We actually have 2 cap plus dimes, which I will get to in the sort and hunt. And then we also got a beat up 1891 seated Liberty dime. Don't even know if I'll see a mint mark on that. And then a stack of Barber dimes. So quite the assortment of goodies in that bag. Let's see if they're really good or just a lot of common stuff. But either way, old silver to the stack is definitely stuff I like adding. I think what I'll do is I'll start with the dimes first, and we'll just move up in denomination. Let me get the Barber stuff sorted and the cap bust and seated and get it all laid out right here. And we'll see if we have any cooler stuff or better dates. We have got the dimes sorted by year and mint, and although most of them are common, there's a couple of dandies in here, and I'm going to cover them with you in just a second. We'll start with the Barber dimes, just a quick overview. 1892 first year Barber dime, that's a Philly. 97 Philly, 1900 Philly. We also got an 030, 2 03Ps, an 04P, an 050, and an 05P. Then moving right along, we've got an 06P, we've got a 1910S, 2 1912Ds, 3 13Ps, a 14P, a 14D, and 2 16Ps. So most of them common, but the 1910S is a slightly lower mintage. It's not in the best shape, but it's definitely a 1910S. And then the find of those Barber dimes is going to be this 19050. And in 1905, the New Orleans Mint made a couple of different New Orleans mint designs. One was the regular 19050. The other is the valuable 1905 Micro O. And I checked it under the scope because I've been looking for it. And that looks like a Micro O to me. But don't just take my word for it. Let's grab the 19030 and let me put it underneath that, and they'll be right back. All right, I've got them both set up. Here's what it looks like. The regular size O on the 19030, and if I had an 050 regular size, I'd show it, but I don't, but they're the same size. And that's what I think is the Micro O. And I've looked online, and based on the size and the distance between the rim and the bottom of the O, I think I have a 1905 O Micro O. I mean, this is cold condition, probably AG3 at best, if it didn't get a clean designation, but that's still a really sought after variety and not many have been found. I'll be right back with a little more information. So I brought up PCGS's website just to kind of see how many were minted of the 1905-0, and there was 3.4 million minted, and according to PCGS's population report, about 340 have been verified or at least authenticated from PCGS, which puts it about, what is that, 0.1%? Anyway, I did take a look at the comparison of the regular O versus the short stubbier micro O, and I'm fairly certain I have one. And even in cold condition, a 2 is $35 and a 3 is $50. So I'm not exactly sure if this would receive a numerical grade. It's pretty beat up. It's also been cleaned. It's got a scratch, but you can read all of the design elements there. So even if it got a 2, it's a $35 dime that I paid about $2.50 for. And I'll take it, especially if it's the variety, and I'm pretty certain it is. Anyway, that's what we got on the Barber Dimes, the best find, the 1905-0 Micro O, the 1910S slightly lower mintage, and then, of course, it's always nice seeing a first-year Barber Dime, even though it's pretty slick. Now, as far as the capped bust dimes, we actually got a dandy right here. This is an 1828, and in 1828, they only minted like 165,000 dimes, and so definitely a low mintage. Now, there are two types. One is the curved 2 with the larger date, and the other is the square 2 base with the smaller date. So this is the second modified design. I'll put it under the scope for you guys. And as you can see here, slightly smaller date. We definitely have that square base. It would be the normal 2 that kind of wraps up a little bit if it was the larger date. So this is the least valuable of the 2 minted that year, the 2 types. But it's still a better dime, and even in G4 condition, it's $50 or more. So definitely take that. That's a nice pickup. We got an 1836, pretty common, but it's in decent shape. So I'm happy to see that. And then, of course, no value here other than coal. It's a common date, 1891 seated Liberty. And yeah, that'll probably just go into the junk bin of the really bad silver that I have that is either illegible, completely damaged, or really just worth coal. Pretty good start on the dimes. I'm going to flip up that 1905-0 Micro O and these 2 cap bust dimes, and then we'll move on to the quarters, and I'll just slide the 45S out of the way since it's not needed. Again, the SLQs look a lot like their dateless ones, but maybe we have some type 1s in there. Maybe we have some better dates. Let's do that next and see what we got. Well, as expected, the SLQs are pretty much a bust. We got a 30P, and it's probably the nicest of all of them. It's in decent shape. We got a 28D, a 27P, a 26P, and a 26D, probably the lowest mintage of them, but that is in rough condition. These are all of the dateless SLQs with no mint mark. These are all of the dateless SLQs with either a D or an S mint mark that I'll probably spend a little more time on after the video, just kind of going through and see if I can eke out any kind of date recognition. Now, we did have one type 1 SLQ right here. And in 1916 and 1917, they both had a Philadelphia Type 1. But you can pick it apart based on its wear and the wear points on it. And this is definitely going to be a 1917 Philadelphia. And I can tell that for several reasons. There's a lot of videos out there for them. But one of the main ones is the fact that you have all of the rivets in the shield very visible. I mean, on the 1916P, those would be almost worn away. You can see that the hair has a secondary curl above it, not one single curl. The head doesn't touch the rim right there. You have the outline right there of that square, and that would be worn away. And then finally, I can tell by the drapery curl right there, it's not kind of in the base. That's an easy way to tell. And I said finally, but you know what? We'll go ahead and cover another one. You can also see here that the robe is in front of this pedestal, and you would see a line here, at least somewhat of a line, because it wouldn't be a high point, it would be a low point. But because the robe's in front, it has a high point, and then it blurs that line that would be there. So there's a lot of diagnostic videos out that you guys can check out, but I know it's a 1917 Philadelphia. Obviously, even in this shape, had it been a 1916, that would be a several $1,000 coin. So we'll put that aside. SLQ's pretty much a bust. Let me run over to the other quarters we have left, which is the Barber and the seated. I'll sort them out here, and I'll give you a recap on those next. Here are the quarters that are older than the SLQs. Not much to talk about here. We did score an 1858 seated Liberty quarter. It's in rough shape, pretty common year. 1898p, 99p, 1900p, 1907p, a 13D, and two 15Ps. And I'll tell you, the hunt for me continues for a 13P or a 13S. I do not have one of those. And even though all 1913s are better, the 13D is the most common of the three different mints minted that year. Either way, I'll take it. It's nice seeing a 13 in the lot, but nothing really to speak of. Let me go ahead and get all of the half dollars sorted. We'll do a recap on those next. All right, we've got the half dollar sorted here. And for the capped busts, we do have an 1819. It's not the 9/8. It's just the regular 1819. It's in pretty rough shape, but still a beautiful piece of old constitutional silver. Happy to add it. Nice looking. Then we've got an 1831 in much better condition. Actually has pretty good details, to tell you the truth. So I'm probably going to flip this one up and not handle it too much more. Definitely has great details. I would say it's in that VF range, but you know what? I'm not an expert on these without looking them up a little bit, but still a really nice coin nonetheless. And then we also have an 1834 with decent details as well. 1834. Now, I did check it for the 50/00. It doesn't have that, and it's pretty common. I think it's just the 1834 small date, small letters, and yeah, really nice. As far as the seated Liberty, we do have an 1876. Not much of a better date, but I'll definitely take it. It's in decent shape for its age. And then for the Barber halves, we have a couple of good, or at least better dates in here that I'll get to. We do have an 1897 Philadelphia in decent shape. I'll definitely check it against my album. Might be an upgrader. Could be. We'll have to see. We've got a better date, 1900 O. Not so much the mintage that makes it a better date, but condition. And honestly, this is not in great shape, but even in this condition, it's probably still a $30 half dollar all day. A 1900P, an 04P, and then a 1910 Philadelphia. Now, in the lower grades like this one, they don't fetch a lot more, but can you believe it? Less than 420,000 minted, and we have it in this bag. Man, too bad it doesn't get expensive until you get to the VF grades or higher, and based on all the wear here, I don't think this would be a VF. It's probably a VG at best. But even if it got a VG in this condition is about a $40 coin. Definitely will take that. And then a 1912 San Francisco. Nothing special about it, but always nice seeing a San Francisco minted coin in your junk silver purchases, especially when they're that old. Let me go ahead and wrap up these coins, get them back into my collection, check them against my album, and then I'll be back with a final recap and some final thoughts on the hunt. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's junk purchase hunt. And I'll tell you, I'm pretty excited because I upgraded both the 1900 O and the 1910P from my collection. And these are the two that I had in there. So definitely a slight upgrade for both of those, and I'll take it. In the end, we had a nice hunt. We got a 1905 O Micro O Barber Dime, a couple of capped bust dimes, 3 cap bust half dollars, a couple of upgrades for my album and their better dates, and a nice 1876 seated Liberty half dollar, which I'll take. On top of all that, we even added a little junk silver to the stack as well. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this junk silver purchase and hunt video. I know I had a lot of fun going through it, and I don't mind paying up a little bit on time's face value because we got some goodies for sure, and I think I did pretty good. If you did, I'd appreciate that thumbs up. And as always, everyone, happy hunting, and thanks for watching.